Here's the first section of your script. Section 1 to 1000 words. The last thing Jace remembered before waking up on a bed of shimmering, bioluminescent moss was his ship spinning out of control. The navigation system had freaked out somewhere near the Arvila Nebula, a GPS disaster that sent him crash-landing onto an uncharted planet. He groaned, blinking at the strange blue sky, which was pulsing? Yeah, definitely pulsing. His helmet display flickered to life, running atmospheric scans. Oxygen-rich, breathable, no immediate threats detected, except for the 5 towering figures surrounding him, all undeniably, absurdly beautiful. They had deep violet skin, shimmering like the inside of an abalone shell, with long, iridescent hair that caught the light in mesmerizing ways. Their curves were the kind that defied physics, wrapped in what looked like shimmering golden wraps barely covering strategic areas. And their eyes? Large, glimmering with amusement, intrigue, and just a little bit of hunger. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward. Her voice was silky, though her words came through his translator with an unexpected, sultry British accent. "You are human?" Jace sat up, groaning. "Yeah. Unfortunately." The aliens gasped. A whisper rippled through them. The tall one's eyes widened as she leaned down, inspecting him with something between awe and excitement. "It is true, then. The Great Liquor has arrived." Jace froze. "The what?" "The liquor. The one who tastes. The judge of all." This was already off to a bad start. Before he could demand an explanation, the alien women suddenly dropped to their knees in perfect unison. Their shimmering wraps adjusted slightly, revealing, oh yeah, this was definitely a fever dream. The leader continued. "We have waited generations for your kind. Our beauty must be measured, tested, experienced." Another alien, smaller but just as dazzling, practically bounced with excitement. "It is our sacred right. You must taste and rate our Tylax." Jace blinked. His translator was working, but surely that wasn't what they actually said. The leader noticed his confusion and clarified, gesturing toward her chest. "Our Tylax. The essence of our femininity. The heart of our culture." Jace stared. "You're talking about your—" "Yes." He dragged a hand down his face. "Look, Miss? Queen? Leader? I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not here to review assets." The aliens exchanged worried glances. "But you must. If you do not rate us highly, our entire tribe's honor is lost." Jace exhaled slowly. "That sounds like a you problem." The leader's face darkened. "It will become a you problem if we are not satisfied." From behind them, tribal drums suddenly started playing. Where the hell did they come from? Were they just carrying instruments around, waiting for this? The smaller alien clapped her hands eagerly. "We begin the ritual of judgment." Jace barely had time to protest before he was lifted, literally lifted, by 2 absurdly strong women, carried toward a throne made of what looked like crystallized moonlight. A crowd had formed, an entire village of these impossibly gorgeous beings, all murmuring in hushed excitement. "Great Liquor, prepare yourself," the leader announced. Jace sighed, rubbing his temples. He was about to become the galaxy's first unwilling interstellar beauty critic. Section 2 to 1000 words. Jace sat stiffly on the crystalline throne, doing his best not to panic as the crowd of alien women watched him with breathless anticipation. The leader, who had introduced herself as HFY Lara, stood before him with an air of regal authority, her golden wrap shifting just enough to make him question every life choice that had led him here. "You will begin the rite of judgment," HFY Lara declared. Jace cleared his throat. "And how exactly does that work?" The smaller, overenthusiastic alien from before, who he now recognized as HFY Lara's younger sister, ZY Nara, practically vibrated with excitement. "It is simple. You will taste, evaluate, and give your divine rating on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. Jace pinched the bridge of his nose. "You're telling me your entire civilization's honor is based on Yelp reviews?" HFY Lara lifted her chin. "The Great Liquor's judgment determines status, desirability, and worth. A low rating could doom one of us to eternal shame. Jace frowned. And if I refuse? The village collectively gasped. Somewhere in the distance, an old alien woman fainted. HFY Lara's expression turned deadly serious. Then we will be forced to summon the Council of Elders, and they will decide a suitable punishment for your offense. He had a feeling suitable meant something incredibly unpleasant. Probably involving restraints. And not the fun kind. Jace sighed. All right. Let's just get this over with. Ziwainara let out a delighted squeal before hopping onto a raised platform. She struck a pose, flipping her iridescent hair over her shoulder. I will go first. The crowd murmured approvingly. Jace stared at her, rubbing his temples. He couldn't believe he was about to do this. He was a pilot, an explorer, a semi-professional troublemaker. Not an alien beauty pageant judge. But as Ziwainara leaned forward expectantly, he realized he had no way out. Slowly, cautiously, he leaned in. The crowd held their breath. Ziwainara shivered in anticipation. Jace gave the lightest, most diplomatic sample possible. The village erupted into cheers. Ziwainara's face lit up. Well? What is my rating? Jace hesitated. He had no reference point for intergalactic, whatever this was. Was there a universal standard? Did humans and aliens even have the same scale of good and bad? He had no clue. 4.5 stars? The crowd collectively gasped. Ziwainara clutched her chest like he had just delivered a divine prophecy. 4.5? Jace nodded cautiously. HFY Lara pursed her lips. A high rating. But not perfect. Ziwainara looked torn between elation and existential crisis. How can I improve? Jace had no idea how to answer that. Maybe a little more symmetry? The crowd murmured, nodding in deep contemplation. Ziwainara seemed satisfied, stepping back with newfound determination. I shall train! Jace exhaled, relieved. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Then HFY Lara took a step forward. Now it is my turn. The crowd fell silent. The atmosphere shifted. Jace swallowed hard. He had a feeling this was about to get a whole lot more complicated. Section 3 to 1,000 words. Jace could already tell HFY Lara wasn't playing around. Unlike Ziwainara's eager enthusiasm, the tribe leader carried herself with the confidence of someone who had never been rated less than a perfect 5 in her life. She stepped forward, shoulders back, eyes locked onto him like a hunter sizing up prey. You will judge me now, she stated, more command than request. Jace had walked into a lot of dangerous situations before, smuggling disputes, high-stakes gambling with alien warlords. That one time he accidentally crashed a royal wedding on Zyphos 9. But this? This felt like the kind of situation that could genuinely get him killed. He cleared his throat. You sure you want to do this? I mean, no one's perfect. The entire village gasped in horror, as if he had just spat on their sacred texts. HFY Lara remained composed, but her golden eyes narrowed slightly. We shall see. She stepped even closer, and Jace realized this was an entirely different level of pressure. Ziwainara had been excited, but HFY Lara expected perfection. There was no room for hesitation, no margin for error. Jace took a deep breath. He had committed to this, and there was no backing out now. Slowly, carefully, he leaned in. The crowd watched with absolute silence. Even the strange, pulsing sky above seemed to dim in anticipation. Jace completed his task, and immediately, the entire village let out a synchronized gasp. HFY Lara remained perfectly still, unreadable. Jace pulled back slightly, preparing himself for any reaction, whether it be satisfaction, outrage, or a ceremonial death sentence. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, finally, HFY Lara spoke. Your rating. Jace hesitated. He knew what she was expecting. She wasn't like Ziwainara, looking for guidance or improvement. HFY Lara was looking for validation. But Jace wasn't about to just hand out perfect scores like some amateur critic desperate for good press. He exhaled slowly. 4.7. The silence that followed was deafening. HFY Lara's golden eyes flashed. 4.7? The village murmured in shock. The old alien woman who had fainted earlier fainted again. Jace braced himself. It's a really good score. HFY Lara crossed her arms. And yet, not perfect. Jace could feel the weight of every gaze in the village on him, waiting for an explanation. He had to tread carefully here. He scratched the back of his head. Look, I'm just saying, perfection is subjective. There's always room to improve. HFY Lara's expression remained unreadable. Then, without warning, she turned sharply toward the crowd. The judgment has been given. A ripple of uncertainty spread through the village. Some of the alien women nodded thoughtfully, while others looked deeply unsettled. Jace, sensing the tension, forced an awkward smile. Hey, a 4.7 is still legendary. That's like elite status. HFY Lara studied him for another moment before finally giving a small nod. Very well. You have judged me. The rite continues. Jace exhaled in relief. Maybe he had survived the worst of it. Then HFY Lara raised a hand, gesturing toward the rest of the village. Now you must judge all of us. Jace blinked. The entire crowd of alien women stepped forward, eyes shining with excitement. His stomach dropped. Oh. Oh no. Section 4 to 1,000 words. Jace had fought off pirate raiders, outdrunk an Andromedan diplomat, and once even talked his way out of a bounty by convincing the hunter he was his long-lost twin. But nothing in his life had prepared him for this. 100 alien women, all breathtakingly unique, were lined up before him, eagerly awaiting their turn to be judged. Some adjusted their shimmering wraps, others practiced poses like they were about to step onto a galactic runway. The anticipation in the air was thick enough to suffocate him. Jace put his hands up. All right, listen, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but I don't think we have time for. HFY Lara cut him off with a raised hand. The rite demands completion. You are the great licker. You must rate each and every one of us. HFY Lara bounced on her heels. This is the greatest day in our civilization's history. Jace muttered under his breath. Why does that somehow make it worse? The first alien woman stepped forward, confidence radiating off her in waves. Jace took a deep breath and did what was expected. She giggled in delight at the result. 5 stars! The village erupted in cheers. The second woman stepped forward. Then the third. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. Jace quickly realized that every single one of them was going to expect the same outcome. He was being treated like some kind of divine authority, and the last thing he needed was to start another intergalactic incident. And then it happened. Somewhere around contestant number 26, he hesitated for just a fraction of a second too long before giving his rating. The woman's expression wavered. Is it not 5? The crowd collectively tensed. Even HFY Lara's expression darkened. Jace's survival instincts kicked in. No! It's definitely 5. I was just savoring the experience. The village erupted into another round of joyous celebration. HFY Lara raised an eyebrow. You must be thorough. Accuracy is everything. Jace swallowed hard. Right. Of course. Thoroughness. Got it. And so, he went down the line, one by one, giving the people what they wanted. 5. 5. 5. By the time he reached the final alien, his jaw ached, and his mind was on the verge of breaking. But he had done it. He had survived. HFY Lara stepped forward. You have completed the rite. The judgment has been given. The status of our tribe is secure. The entire village cheered, women embracing one another in triumph. It was as if he had just blessed them with divine approval. Jace forced a tired smile. Glad I could help. Before he could so much as take a step back toward his ship, HFY Lara latched onto his arm, grinning. This is so wonderful! The galaxy must hear of this moment. Jace blinked. Wait, what? HFY Lara nodded. The universe must know of your sacred duty. It is time to broadcast the results across the intergalactic network. His stomach dropped. You're telling me this entire thing is about to be live-streamed? Zwainara beamed. It already has been. Look! A dozen hovering drones materialized from the air, projecting a massive holographic screen. The feed was already viral. Comment sections from multiple alien species flooded in, filled with reactions ranging from awe to unfiltered thirst. Jace's face strained of color. His face. His ratings. His entire performance was now galactic public record. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. HFY Lara placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Congratulations, Jace. You are now the most influential critic in the universe. Zwainara practically squealed. You have to stay and do more. Jace had only one thought running through his mind. He had to get the hell off this planet.